Thank you for joining us, for those of you who are here. For those of you who don't know, my name's Austin Keitner. I'm a broker with the Keitner Group real estate team at Keller Williams. And last year at this time, we expanded our business to Collingwood because they were shutting schools down in January. And I had heard about the Wild School, which is an outdoor school for children. And we found out that there was a couple spots. So I met Jeff Barrett, who I'll introduce you to in a second. And there was openings and we were able to get our kids into the school. We were going to finish the school year out here in Collingwood, but we loved it so much. And kids were thriving at such a high level, learning outdoors and all of the good things that happen around that we've decided to stay. And now we live here, and now we are going to build a business around this outdoor concept and wellness. And we're going to get into that in a second. But before we do that, Jeff, how are you doing, man?
Hey, Austin. Yeah. So thanks everyone for being here. So as Austin was saying, I founded Blue Mountain Wild School a few years back, and we have another school up in the Yukon as well. And we've got a few more in development. And the success has been quite overwhelming, to be honest. I think we hit a niche, and really based on people's need and understanding intuitively of the benefits from an educational and brain development of being connected to outside. So essentially our school is a campus of outdoor pods spread out of a landscape. It's sort of one part monastery, one part summer camp, and one part school. And we've created this beautiful campus of learning. So my background is landscape architecture and planning. Before I started the Wild School, I was working for Replay for the last 6 or 7 years, flying around the world, building resorts, one and onlys, Four Seasons, and project managing the development of these structures. So I took that design acumen and that development acumen and brought that together with my partner who's in education together to create the Wild School. And along the way, we meet a lot of parents that are asking us when we're going to create the parent version of Wild School. And for the longest time, I'm sort of scratching my head at what they really are getting at in that. Are they wanting to come back to school? You know, what are they asking for? And I think with many conversations with Austin, what we've come to realize is that they're looking for something deeper. They're looking for community. They're looking for connection. They're looking for fun. For what the experience that their kids are having, which is, you know, kind of going back to our youth of playing outside and making friends in nature. So with that in mind, we've developed a concept which we call Wildhus, and we will present that to you guys right now.
The World Health Organization further defines it as an integration of spa and wellness. So just the next point there, Jeff.
Yeah, sorry, give me a sec here. There we go.
Yeah, so this evolution from spas in Avison Young's report, which we're going to send to all of you in our follow-up, is their research ultimately comes down, this 19-page report ultimately comes down to resorts and places for travel need to start accommodating not just spas. Problem right now is that in Collingwood, we have the Scandinav Spa, which is a 6-month wait, and 150,000 people travel through here, but you have to wait 6 months, and then you're in an environment that is surrounded by strangers and people telling you to be quiet. So that is the only option. Plus, it's only a spa, and there's no integration of other wellness components. The other problem is that the other places that exist that incorporate wellness are fragmented. They're indoors, so you have to go to different locations to get different elements of wellness for the holistic wellness that we're looking for. And Jeff,
yeah. And lastly, I think that this is the biggest point right now is that what we're seeing across this country and across North America is really this lack of social and mental wellness. And I think that really is stemming from an erosion of a lot of the traditional systems that we used to have in place. So, you know, the church, for instance, brought people together on the weekends. You know, the small town experience, the things that brought us all together are as we've evolved as society are crumbling. So there was a study done by Harvard that was a longitudinal study over the course of an entire lifetime of graduates. So in 1920s, the graduates, like 1920s, 1930s, the graduates, and they tracked their entire arc of their life and the rate to death. And so what they saw as the one contributor to that predicted the length of their life was the community and their social connections, their friendships, their relationships that they had. If you look at the blue zones across the planet, so Costa Rica, Japan, Greece, the places where people are living the longest, the one indicator of those places is that the social cohesion of those places. So we see that as a massive problem that we have, and I think we can all relate to that. We're lacking something. So what our vision is, what our concept is trying to create a place where we all can gather, a place where we can practice a variety of different activities, and you know, where we can come together, where we can be healthy, where we can be fit, where we can be active, where we can be engaged, where we could and heighten our intellect. You know, really what Wild School is that campus of gathering and coming together and learning and growing. Why can't there be an adult version of this?
Well, now there can, Jeff. Now there can. So this all takes place at a property that we're going to introduce to you. And it's going to include things for experiences, a variety of amenities, spaces, classes, all of which promote health, wellness, community, productivity, and longevity. If we hit the next slide.
So, you know, we think that it's you know, it's quality of life, and we've, you know, really been focusing a lot on length of life, and understanding the brain science and some of the new research that's coming out on how you can obviously increase your health and wellness in the now, but also what those long-term implications are. And that's a big focus of a lot of what the amenities that we want to provide at this property can do. So the vision is really you know, this place that you can come up to, you can bring your laptop, get some work done, go have a soak, go have a sauna, take in a yoga class, you know, bringing in a bunch of different experts and practitioners to this place, and providing the infrastructure and the campus to do these classes. So it's both a place where you can come in on your own and you know, like the Scandinave, you know, have that spa experience, but then integrate it in with your fitness regime. Go up the mountain for a hike, go cross-country skiing, go for an e-bike on our groomed cross-country trails. Go and do a yoga session, and then afterwards come for a soak in a tub and a plunge. So you can really get all of the aspects that you're looking for in your daily practice in one place, including the workspaces too. So Wild School has outdoor classrooms that we've built, and they're quite phenomenal. So the kids are outside most of the year until they can't hold a pencil. So we envision these little spaces set out to the landscape that we can you know, be working outside a good portion of the time. And then obviously the main lodge has indoor spaces as well. You want to talk to this one, Austin?
Yeah, so the values of people that we would be attracting and the people that we'd be looking for as members and as investors are people who value vibrant living, having high energy, being immersed in nature and understanding the benefits of that, leading ourselves and others in these activities and in a holistic wellness approach to life, a dedication to self-improvement. We are all working on ourselves. A group of humble people, remembering in context that we are spitting on a speck of dust in nothingness. Unbounded people striving to be our best selves with no limits, and social. We understanding that we're humans and that we need each other. That's the values of the people that we're attracting to this company. Let's check out the property. I think that's coming up next, Jeff.
Yeah. So first is the website. It's in building phase right now, but you know, this is the hub where members can really come in, figure out what classes are going on. You know, it's the front end for people that are interested in it, but it's also becomes a lot of a day-to-day for connecting to the property and seeing what's going on up there. So yeah, again, a variety of different classes, really becoming you know, this extended idea of extended learning. You've got your fitness classes and your wellness classes, but also some of the academic classes, developing some of your other passions like art, music. You know, I think that if you look at sustainable happiness and the research that are coming out of that, you're trying to achieve a full balanced lifestyle, and that is also having hobbies outside of just fitness hobbies, intellect hobbies, you know, so art, music, and other. I think it'd be a really neat thing to explore, to see how we can provide those spaces for those communities to fill in those. So the amenities that we see being offered at this property, a lot of it is existing because of its natural assets in the property's location, which we'll get into. But the built ones is, you know, a big focus on the spa experiences, the sauna, pools, hot tubs. There's already a pond there. We want to see a lap pool, cold plunges, and then these meditation rooms. So I love it, the Scandinav, how you do the routine of the hot, and then into the warm down rooms. And so spreading those kind of out in the landscape where you could hike up to a place. There's change room, showers, and then a sauna in that location as well. So it's sort of that destination spot out amongst the property. And then also equipment rental. Like we see e-bikes, and we're in talks with some partners up in Castle Glen of having, you know, paddle boards sitting up there, so you could hike up to the lake and grab a paddle board and go for a paddle. You know, the having partners out at Georgian Bay where you could grab a board or a e-foil and go for a rip outside. So like the idea of sort of decentralizing some of the activities is appealing to us. Do you want to talk about this, Austin?
Yeah, we've got some pricing schemes, and we've kept, you'll see our financial model coming up, because that's going to be important for making your investment decision. But just some of the areas, this is a membership model. So there's an initiation fee for the all access, but the entry is going to allow you to just book classes. So you can hold a monthly membership, which our projections are pretty low compared to what the market potential is. But having access to all of these amenities, you don't have to break your bank. People will be able to have access to the facilities and all of the classes that are being offered, some free, some not, depending on what it is and who the vendors are. But this will give them access to the class. And then we projected financially for what the revenue from the classes attached to the people using these memberships, we could expect revenue.
In the model, we've actually reduced a few, like we've reduced this social membership. But the idea of just having a group of people that are around, and ideally, you know, they spending more and more in time in the property, they're developing friendships and part of the community, and they want to come deeper into the fold, and so they eventually become a full-time member. So it's a subscription membership business, and we'll talk a little bit more about the financials. So the property, I've spent my life traveling the world, and you know, for a long time, my job was looking at property and putting together business plans for those properties, mostly in the form of a resort. This property it's unbelievable. I mean, the views are spectacular over Collingwood, over Georgian Bay, all the way up towards Pretty River. You can see the whole Nottawasaga Bay. You're seeing sunrises at all points of time throughout the year. And then the location of where it backs onto is it's incredible. 44 acres. This is, if you can see my cursor up here, this is all Scenic Caves land back up here. So they've got 23 kilometers of groomed cross-country ski trail that backs in. There's trails all the way through there. That's already been built up. That kitty corner right there is Castle Glen, which those familiar with this property, that was just purchased maybe 3 years ago now by Great Golf Homes with a proposed 1,900 unit resort going in. But the lower half, I spent a long time. I actually was successful in raising $40 million to purchase Castle Glen, but we were 2 months late to the party. So I spent a long time understanding this property, and the bottom section of land is all protected land with existing trails running through it, including the Bruce Trail. So you could actually get from Mission Hill up through Castle Glen, cross Grey Road 19, which is right here, and then get into more trails and ski directly to Osler Bluff Ski Club. So members from Osler Bluff Ski Club can essentially ski, hike, bike to Mission Hill and back for the day. So you can imagine, a day you wake up in the morning, rip a couple of laps on the groomers, pop on your cross-country skis, skin up, and go spend the day at Mission Hill, sauna, yoga, have a couple of meals, and then head back. So the potential of what we can do with the land in this corner is amazing. Then go the other way, you could be on to Scenic Caves, groomed cross-country ski trails, and to Blue Mountain and resort. You could actually ski or bike to the village from here, which is pretty sensational. The property's on a hill down below. Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, if anyone is confused a little bit, Mission Hill is the name of the property and the corporation that all of you would be investing in. So your opportunity is to own some of this land, so your money will be protected, which we'll talk about in a second. But Mission Hill is where Fieldhouse will operate. The reason they're two different corporations is to give you guys the opportunity to be part of it, and because Fieldhouse is actually a scalable model. We can actually purchase together, if you guys would want, properties similar to this with the right zoning. Well, the reason this is so great is because it's already zoned for exactly what we want to do. So
yeah, so my
Jeff is part of his background. Yeah, go ahead.
Is planning and development, and the biggest issue in this area is finding property that has the type of zoning that to operate the way we want to operate here. So it's zoned OS, open space, which allows for private club with outdoor recreation amenities. It's also zoned under the NEC, which is a huge bane of existence for a lot of development, both good and bad. But you can see it's got the same zoning as Osler, Castle Glen, and Blue Mountain Resort, which allows for recreation. So it's exactly what the zoning, what we're looking for. We don't need to do any zoning amendments. We would need to change the use to commercial, but the property zoning allows for commercial use. So, with a couple of small moves, we can have the property as a commercial operation with very little overhead and timelines too. I mean, that's, looking at Castle Glen, that's a 10-year planning project.
Yeah, we'll be generating revenue within months of finalizing this purchase agreement. And the reason that is exciting is because the business has a lot of income potential. There is a massive market for it. Osler Ski Club has 2,200 members. There's 5 other private ski clubs plus Blue Mountain, which is not private, where I don't even know. There's 150,000 people that go through the Scandinav spot every year. And then there's a market of people who don't use any of these ski clubs, but practice wellness. The problem is right now they have to go to these fragmented places and they're all indoors. So yeah, this is a rare and unique offering.
Another interesting comparable is what's the live work or the workspace collective, the Foundry. So the Foundry has over 200 members that are using their office space. And that's a community that we've been in talks with that would be interested in collaborating. So, obviously these are projections, but I think that we've been quite conservative on our numbers, and I've looked at a lot of businesses and a lot of business models. I've come to really like the subscription model business. That's what the school is. It's, people commit for the year. They're paying monthly, and they also are, seeing the growth potential of the property itself and what it can be. So they're buying into a larger vision. I think we've been pretty conservative on our membership assumptions.
So Jeff, we've got in year one, we've got how many projected entry level members and how many projected all around members or all in members?
Yeah, so I'm not sure why I can't scroll over to the side here, but
we'll be sending the financials.
Yeah, so if you can, sorry, it's so small right now, but so you can see the initiation fee starting at about $5,000 to begin with. Osler is $65,000, I think, that by last look. Beaver Valley Ski Club, 12. So I think in this area, Georgian Bay Golf Club is 65,000. I think that this is pretty conservative to say you're starting out at 5,000, and with our capital improvement plan that we have coming in, that by 5 years you're asking for $10,000 initiation fees. The numbers that we have for the membership starting off 125 members to begin with, and only really growing to 350. Osler's 2,200 members. Obviously, it's been around for a lot longer, but there's a pent up desire. I think being very close to the community and close to a lot of people of my vintage that want to be there. So I think it's a realistic expectation in 5 years that we'll have 350 members. And been doing some sensitivity analysis on this model. We've got room. I think a good business, especially in development, has to have the ability to withstand storms. And if something goes wrong, if we can't get the membership, we've got margins in here that we can withstand storms, and limp through a year of slow growth, or 2 or 3. But I think once we really get ramped up and we get people in this place and start really showing the fun that we can have here, and then start to get going on the capital spend. So back to the dashboard, we're putting in every year quite a bit of money back into the property from the proceeds, and that's on things like landscaping and weight rooms, pickleball courts, more trails, more amenities, and just keep raising the bar, making every year beautiful. I mean, like I say, Wild School is the great example. If you see the evolution of that property in a year and a half with myself and a few guys in a tractor, I think that's the testament to what we're capable of doing to a property, making it unbelievable. I see this as being a palette, a blank slate that we can really create something truly extraordinary. Anything else you want to put on? So we'll obviously spend this around, but I think that. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, I was just going to say the only thing that I would add to this is the revenue projections are only accounting for the initiation fees for the monthly revenue for membership and for the classes. And we've been really conservative with the classes, even like 2 a day. Like most of the websites, even in the community here that offer yoga, are at least 5 or 6 classes a day. So there is the activity. And the other opportunities for revenue include food and beverage. And we've got 3 companies locally here that would cater and be the source of food and beverage at this location. There's executive retreats, so day trips for executives to bring teams for team building exercises and events. And the third one, childcare, because Jeff runs a school not just to take care of children, but also to educate them, and the opportunity for having a place where parents can come with their kids and get some time at the spa while their kids are being taken care of in an outdoor and learning-based environment, also has large revenue potential. That's all I would want to say in addition.
We have a bus right now. We don't have a bus driver, but we have a bus. So we see us going kind of back and forth between the schools. So parents would come up, drop their kids off that are members, and the bus would pick them up and bring them back to school. Same thing for camp, and ideally, eventually have a daycare on the property as well, so that parents could be in a separate corner. 55 acres is a lot. 44 acres is a lot of synergy. But the synergy of a school as we build out, opportunities for youth and their parents, that's the market. So you've got, as we see growing, you've got two ready audiences. So yeah, I like this business. I like the numbers of it. I think it bodes well. I've done it. I've revved it up. I've revved it down, and we've got some healthy buffers. So I think we've got something here. So essentially, to what we're offering, it really equates to a second mortgage coming in for the remaining dollars after the bank and the remaining 1.4. So the property is being purchased for 3.5, and we're looking to raise 1.4 for that. So that each dollar invested is tied directly to the ownership of that property. We're putting in on our side an additional $500,000 that's not tied to this, that comes in the form of capital towards improvements, and we're putting in our building plan puts an initial $500,000 to get the lodge kind of right, change rooms in downstairs, open up a few things up in the main floor, put in a sauna, 2 saunas, warming room, reorientate the driveway and create better parking, arrival, landscaping. And then once the engine started, there's more money that's come from the business every year that's put into the value of the property. So the difference between a second mortgage and this is that the interest isn't compounding. We're paying out a coupon, a 9.6 coupon that's paid monthly, which equates to $800 per $100,000 invested, and then another 4% profit that's distributed annually. But it's because it's not compounding, that money specifically is not compounding, it's compounding in the equity share of the property. So the idea is that you're seeing that the value that we're putting in term to that property and creating a business from it, making it a commercial, putting the commercial zoning on it, putting in the $500,000 at the beginning, and then year after year after year of reinvestment that, in a 10-year horizon, when we go to sell it, that is going to be worth a heck of a lot more than $3.5 million. I mean, what's the value of the Spa Scandinave right now, if it was to go to market?
40, yeah, 40 or 50.
I would imagine that they'd be evaluating that on the cash flow, but this property in its location beside Osterbluff Ski Club, beside Scenic Caves, beside Castle Glen, that will be eventually developed by that point. I think this is a pretty high value proposition, and the money that you're investing is directly tied to that real estate. So if the ship goes down, and we have to sell, then the money that you would be investing would come out ahead of anything that we put in. So obviously first the bank, which would be that 60%, and then anything that's there in the that value would be go back to. So it's direct tied security to that land.
Well said.
And
I'm sure there'll be questions, and we'll field those.
Yeah. So we've been going around and trying how to figure out how to structure this. And what we really like about this is that we're pulling in hopefully pulling in quite a large number of people, in that those people become key parts of the club, of the fabric of that community. So, what we're looking for is investors that really believe in us and believe in what we can achieve here, and that want to be part of this community, and that are really, we're talking about early founders, and are helping grow it on a variety of different ways, but mostly just from the social aspect, because as we all know, a club is really representation of its people. So we're looking to pull in a really great group of people, and invest in this and make it as safe as possible. And so, I would look at any family and friends that are coming in on this and say, that if anything goes wrong here, guys, like, we have the value of that property at the end of the day to repay. But that's not going to happen. I think the value right off the gate, as we put in, the 3.5 that it's worth right now, with another $500,000 in, and the changing of the use, all of a sudden, in a couple of months' time, you have a cash flowing business on that property. I think that's going to be worth more than its current value right away. Right in the next kind of 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. So next steps, Jeff, I believe, is on the next slide. That includes we obviously only have $1.4 million available to share. Oh no, this is our bio, so you guys can read all about us if you'd like. But the next steps is reviewing and executing that letter of intent. So it has those terms that Jeff just described. Submitting 20%, which will be held in trust in our brokerage's trust account. We would need that commitment by January 16th. From there, reviewing and executing on the formal shareholders. And if it's unacceptable in any way, or you decide to back out, you will receive your deposit in full with no deductions. Otherwise, if you think it's amazing and you want that cash flow and you see the value and you want your money to grow, without having to deal with the nonsense of tenants, like if you invest in real estate in Ontario right now, you're not getting cash flow unless you put more than 30% down. 30% down, and you can start seeing cash flow every month. Otherwise, you're just getting enough to pay off the mortgage, which includes principal and interest, which these days is mostly interest. If you want cash flow on a real estate investment, you need to go to Middle America and buy a $150,000 house, because every month you'll get, your $800 a month. But that house is still going to be worth $150,000 in 10 years. Okay. So this is a unique investment in that you're going to benefit from Ontario's appreciation, plus Jeff Baird and Austin Keitner and Jocelyn Keitner's value addition to this already amazing property. And you're going to benefit from cash flow without the nonsense of tenants and stuff. So if that's cool with you, then you submit your remaining 80% by January 19th. And from there, you celebrate your ownership in Ontario's first and only wellness club existing in nature. And you're going to come to the property. We're going to pop champagne. We're going to celebrate with our restaurant partners and enjoy some wellness together. Let's leave it at that and answer any questions that anybody might have who's been able to join us on this call. Natalie, I see you there. Thanks for joining. I know Natalie has just traveled to Costa Rica and practices and teaches yoga and a bunch of other stuff in wellness. What's going through your head, Natalie?
Hey, no, it sounds super exciting. I definitely share in the vision. Yeah, I'm just kind of taking it all in and kind of stewing on some of the things. A couple of questions that just like quickly came to my head, and sorry, I am a little bit multitasking, but I heard almost everything, but there was a couple things I just wanted to clarify. so the membership fee is there a membership fee, and then there's also people that can just do monthly, or everyone has to pay the yearly membership fee?
Yeah, there's a monthly membership fee. There's two categories of monthly membership. It's just entry so that you can use the property and access the classes, the workshops, the trails.
Yeah.
If you want all access, it's $500, but then you can use it as a workspace. So the Foundry that Jeff mentioned, I'm a member at the Foundry. It's like a WeWork. It's a co-working space.
Yeah.
And I pay $375 a month, and it's just access to office space. So whereas at the Field House at Mission Hill, this property that you guys would be buying into, people can work there. Plus they can do a sauna, plus they can do a cold plunge, or they can hit the private trails and do some meditation, or they can do a yoga class in between working, right? So right now, all I do is go to an office and I could work there, but this is going to provide the opportunity for all that if you want to pay that membership fee. But either way, Natalie, to be on the property, you need one of two memberships.
But is there an initiation fee? Sorry, that's what I'm getting at. Is
Yeah,
there
Initiation.
for the
all access.
social membership, there won't be an initiation fee, but for the full membership, and so the social membership is just coming to classes and we, part of that larger community, showing up for yoga classes, or any other forest bathing, breath work, any of those types of classes. But if you want to be on the property, working, playing, hanging out, then on your own, then you'd have to join with an initiation.
and what's that initiation fee?
We're starting at 5,000. And then by year 5, it gets up to 10,000.
Okay, and so those projections of the 350, those are with that full membership.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I just had one other question, two other questions. And I think I might have missed it, but you said there's potential for revenue in the first 4 months. How are you going to scale up like that quickly with property development? And
Well, I think that there's the revenue potentials at the beginning are limited. I meant it more as we're injecting money for capital development at the very beginning. So the $500,000 that we're putting in is going to be in the capital improvements. But we'll start selling memberships right away, and ideally we'll have practitioners up there immediately. So our initial plan is to put up a large yurt. Actually, just last night had one delivered to Wild School around midnight last night. I had to go out and haul out a 4,000-pound load off a flatbed truck that came from Michigan. So we see this massive pavilion with this big deck with this huge overlooking the bay, and so we could be running classes there, in a few weeks' time, and getting really.
Yeah, Natalie.
Yep.
And our sauna distributor, he's doing one in our backyard next week. Like, that's pretty quick. We're already booking it. We can start doing this. Like, this property would close at the end of March. We can start working on it before, because it's all outside, and the seller of the property is super cool, and he's in on this, and he's an investor and everything. And he wants and all the stuff's outside, so we can probably have saunas and the yurt and some of the other key amenities, or initial amenities, up and running pretty close to after closing. So,
And can you
in
continue?
the meantime, we're like,
Yeah, can you continue running that as a revenue model while you're doing like the full build of the like lodge and everything like that? Like, if there's enough land that it would be like separate and it wouldn't interfere, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the renovations that we have planned are not extensive. We're not doing any structural. We're not expanding it. We're going to offer it within the existing.
Sorry, I missed that. So the property is not underdeveloped. There's actually sorry, can you explain that? What's on the property?
So the property has on it a house. It's beautiful. There's a picture of the interior. There's an interior shot. And already kind of a big open space. We might have to close in the kitchen There's a front entry bathroom that we'll remove. But there's an existing lodge already. So, and there's an existing garage too that will be what we can quickly turn into a fitness room. There's a whole big basement where we have treatment rooms and the bathrooms all planned. So, it's a couple of month renovation. And then, there's quite extensive landscaping that needs to be done. We need to build a parking lot right away. We'll probably keep the main driveway for now, but eventually there's plans of turning the driveway into a different entry point.
Okay, sorry, that helps. And then one last is just in terms of like, if it all fails, hopefully that's obviously not the case, and like we have value in the property. Just curious, like what's the how long has that property been on the market? Like what's the potential for resale of that property as is?
Yeah, great question. So it's been on the market for 3 months. It had 3 offers at different times. This is all according to the seller. I haven't verified these documents, but he's a trustworthy and reputable agent in the area too. 3.2, 3.4, and they had an agreement at 3.65, which is documented on MLS as having fallen through. So there seems to be a lot of buyers. These guys we're not in a rush to sell. They understand the value of the property. They have enough equity in it where they can carry it. So this was just like, we think we're the right buyers because of what we want to do with the property, and the seller agrees, and they want a lifetime membership, and for their family and stuff. They're also fellow Osler members. But yeah, this property, like to get a property in the mountains in this area with this size is worth probably at least 2.5 to 3 million if there was no structure on it. Just to get in the mountains, you're not paying less than 2.5 million. So this, especially with these views, so the value's there in the real estate. We just happen to be maximizing for the best possible use.
Okay, thanks. I think that's my initial questions. And if you move forward to the next steps, like we'd get more like full plans of, like we'd get all the documentations in terms of like what the plans look like in terms of short-term revenue, long-term goals, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'd want to tease out that cash flow to be monthly. Is right now it's yearly, annually, and so looking at like when what's spent when, and what the trigger is for the next spend. So we have a budget now for that 500,000, but then what's the next year? What's the benchmark that we start the next spend? You want to be at the minimum. You're spending, you're doing landscaping, extensive landscaping constantly throughout this property. I don't know if I said this earlier, but I see this as sort of being like, if you've been to monasteries in Vermont or in Asia, where you have these meandering pathways and little nodes where you can sit and meditate, and places where you can have other different places where you can program stuff. Like, do you always have to have the yoga in the one main pavilion, or could you have little amphitheaters or little spots tucked away up into the forest? So it becomes a wellness campus, and set in nature. And
is there projections
up on that?
Is there projections to have, when you said lodges, like, is there projections to have people that can stay overnight? Like, no, okay.
Not at this property, Natalie, but that's where the scalability opportunity is. There's other properties with different zoning where it can be the field house residences, and that's where people can lodge, and then we can transport them.
Oh, this isn't zoned for that.
So we've got some property, actually. Yeah, it's not zoned for that, but we have the opportunity to do that at different properties.
So a couple of interesting things. This property, Castle Glen, the head of resort development for North America for Great Gulf Home is my former boss of 6 years. I have a great relationship, and I've been talking to him already about synergy. So we could we could acquire some parcels up here. Over here in behind Osler, in this kind of chunk right here, is the Phelan lands. And unfortunately, Paul Sr. just passed, I believe, last year. We'd like to talk to that family about potentially acquiring or leasing some of that land as well. And they have a couple of cabins, sleeping cabins up in the hills. It would be kind of neat to have the accommodation. But really, like, I think the overnight accommodation piece would be something that we would, you'd kind of provide for your members as something neat, but certainly not public offerings.
Yeah, great questions, Natalie. Anything else that comes to mind, or is there anyone else that's got some burning questions?
I'm good. I'll pass it along.
Thanks, Natalie, and thanks for coming. Sorry that you can't make it tomorrow. If anybody is so intrigued by this property and they want to physically come and see it, we're doing a formal lunch tomorrow for a small group of other people. And then we could also book time next week or next weekend if tomorrow doesn't work. So we truly do see this as a partnership. We want to work with people who are into this concept and share values. And we think that some of you are here. So hopefully we can team up. Okay, Jeff, thanks so much, man. Excellent job. I think you got the message across really well. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome, Ian. If anyone has any other questions, you can hit us up privately anytime. And we'll send this out along with some of the footnotes and research that we've done on the industry for anyone who's analytical or just curious. Okay, guys, thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.